Hello, it's time for another Combat Patrol unboxing. So just as I was finishing filming issue 38 and the Hellbrute, my latest delivery arrived. And here it is, our usual big black bag, and we got 4 fantastic issues of Combat Patrol. So we finish off our most recent 2 Combat Patrols with the Chaos Space Marine and Aeldari bonus issues. We start our 5th Combat Patrol with a new character model. And we have another paint issue, but I think the most exciting news is on the back pages of that paint issue, which we'll cover when we get there. So I won't yammer on too much. We'll head to the table and we'll unbox these issues. I'm really eager to see what Coelia Green Shade is used on. I've got a heavy feeling it's going to be on plasma effects. I'll have to wait and see. But before we hit the table, don't forget to, of course, do all the usual things which helps these channels, small channels like mine, get noticed. That's liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, and dropping a comment down below. Feed that algorithm and let's get this channel noticed more and more, and it'll encourage me to create more content for you guys. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They do stock everything, and I mean everything that you need for the Warhammer journey. Starting you off with your very first models, paints, hobby supplies, decorative items such as posters, artworks, collector coins, and many other things besides. They also stock past, present, and maybe even future partworks on Hachette. So check them out. There's a link for their website, or you can head down to their physical store. Right, let's head to the table and we'll unbox delivery 11. So here we are with our usual black bag delivery, and we got our usual 4 issues. So let's pull them out and take a look. So right off the bat, we got probably the most anticipated issue of the collection, for Aeldari anyway. It's the latest addition to the Aeldari Combat Patrol, and it's the Wraith Guard. Can't wait to build, paint, and play with these guys. And yes, you do get the full kit. All 3 sprues to build 5 models, so you do have options for Wraith Blades with twin swords or Wraith Blades with axes and shields. You've got the D cannons, the D scythes, and that's it. There's 2 different weapons. So the D scythes are flamers and the D cannons are what we're building them up with, or Wraith cannons as I believe they're called now. But yeah, that's how we do that. I've got 2 extras of this issue because I'm going to be building up as Wraith Blades for my Aeldari army. The next anticipated issue is issue 40, which brings us our Chaos Terminators. So our bonus models for the Chaos Space Marine Combat Patrol. And yeah, interestingly, we don't actually build these guys up as the cover shows. They are all effectively a dark counterpart to the regular Space Marine Terminators. So we build 4 with Power Fists, 1 with the Reaper Autocannon, Sergeant with the Power Sword, and we do get 1 guy with a chain fist, so there's a little bit of difference there at least. But again, it's the full kit, so you got different power weapons, or cursed weapons as they're called. So mauls, chain axes, power axes, the power sword. You got the heavy flamer if you want to use that. You got 1 pair of twin cursed weapons, which are effectively lightning claws. And you got all the different helmets and decorative icons to use. Then we got ourselves a brand new mat as we start a brand new Combat Patrol of issue 41 and the Ork Warboss in Mega Armour. And interestingly, we have a pull-out page. So yeah, it's interesting to see what that's all about. So I'm guessing it's some sort of article, because that looks like the painting article sort of thing there. I'll have to wait and see what that is. And finally then, the paint issue, we get Coelia Green Shade, which we actually use, and Coutgard Blue, which according to the website, we don't. So, right, let's go back to the very first issue. We'll start looking through these issues one by one. So we'll kick things off with issue 39. So yeah, easily one of my most anticipated issues. As soon as I saw Wraithguard in this collection, I knew it was going to be the issue I would definitely be picking up duplicates of. Oops, that's a bit of a teaser there. Or spoiler, should I say. So we get 5 40mm bases, and we get 2 frames. 2 bodies on one frame, 2 bodies on another frame, and the last body on the other frame. And we got all the different weapons, so the axes and swords, shields for the combat melee versions, different types of loincloths, we got the guns as well, and of course all our heads and loads of extra accessory bits to decorate our models with. The build and paint guide is going to be very basic and build them up just with the guns, so pretty cool. Put those to one side. So the next thing, which we kind of already spoiled, is our next free gift of this issue. So our latest set of data cards. So we get the faction rules of Chaos Space Marines, we get the Wraithguard and Terminator Squad data cards as well. And there's the spoiler, we also get all the Ork cards, because we are starting the Orks, so we need at least the Warboss data card. And then we got the Universal Stratagems in cards. I actually have a larger print version that I had free with White Dwarf years ago, when, not very many years ago, but when 10th editions first came out. And we got ourselves 2 new terrain cards, and these are craters. So this one's going to be a fairly easy to build one for me. I'm just going to be using stones, rubble, etc. I need to get some of this bracken stuff as well. This one's going to be a little difficult. I need to try and find some sort of Imperial grating sort of thing. I need to pick out some wire as well, that's cool. But yeah, we got areas, so you only get the benefit of cover if you're within these sort of areas here. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So there's some new terrain cards, and the issue, I believe, actually covers how to utilize all our terrain cards. So I need to zoom in a bit, I think. I'm a bit too far out. That's better. There we go. Right. Into issue 39 we go. So the full contents, which I won't bother, we don't bother with the contents in this video, we just go through everything. So build guide for the Wraithguard, building their bodies. So all the bodies are the same except for the different back veins. Legs are a paired combination, but you probably could interchange them. They're not that locked together. Could get some different poses if you wanted to. Then we got paired arms again. Then we got the heads gluing on, and that's pretty much it for our Wraithguard. Paint guide, very similar to the Wraith Lord. So starting with Mephiston Red, picking out all the black details of Abaddon Black. Head with Wraith Corax White, the gold insignias and Ike jewels on the Mondals with Retributor armor. Screaming Pink for the Tabard, Agrax Earthshade recessing all of that red armor. Nuln Oil on the Tabard, and then Rycliffe Fleshshade on the gold detail. And there we have our models. We have our battle record for them, so the usual, we can name them, or at least the leader. We have strategic reserves, core rules, so covering the importance of strategic reserves, which is also covered actually in our mission. Then we look at terrain features, so it goes over the different types of terrain, so craters and rubbles, barricades and pipes. I'm hoping we get, well, I know we are getting some pipes soon, which I'll show in a minute. Battlefield debris and statuary, hills and buildings, and etc. And finally woods. Pull from the back. Oh yeah. And yeah, so we got a cover here for terrain, so we can randomly roll to decide what terrain we place, looks like it. We got what cards count as what, so battlefield debris and statuary are things that are line blocking, so our crate, our big Tyrannid brood chimneys. We got some craters and barricades, so we've got these interesting barricades which will be coming very soon. I'm not too sure what kit those are from, so if anyone knows, please let me know and I will try to pick up some bits. One of these we've had before, our crates barricade, and we're also getting these. So we get a set of pipes and some random pieces of rubble and machinery. So I'm going to have to probably get some more pipes. I know I have some, but I don't think I have enough to make 2 that sort of go end to end like that. So yeah, we'll be getting one of those in a future issue. Then the scenario is a Ghost Vanguard. So we deploy we have terrain areas we can set up, so we'll roll and deploy 2 random pieces of terrain. Chaos Space Marines deploy here, 1 Aeldari deployment zone here, and the reinforcements deployment zone over here. So the Wraith Guard are effectively coming to the rescue of the Farseer, some Wind Riders and Guardians, and then we got our victory speech. So there we have it, that's issue 39. On to our last spiky issue with issue 40. So another bumper issue with a bumper saving because you are getting a really big kit for only a tenner. So really glad I managed to pick up an extra 2 copies of these for my Emperor's Children. Like the Wraith Guard, they're on 40mm bases. And we just get, it's 2 frames, which is a bit of a downgrade. I think the old Chaos Terminator squad was on 3 frames. But everything is at least a lot more compacted on these 2 frames. So we've got plenty of heads, plenty of shoulder pads, plenty of guns, melee weapons, and we've got all our different bodies, and we can interchange all the decorative icons as well as all the power weapons and such. You do only have like 1 set of certain hands, so they are interchangeable between different fists. But yeah, pretty cool, nice squad. Like I said, I've got 2 extra of these to build up as for my Emperor's Children. These guys will be built up as the magazine shows and go towards my Black Legion. So it's nice to actually have a squad for my Black Legion, but they definitely need another squad. Abaddon ain't going to be happy with just 5 dudes. And then into the issue we go. So, of course, we have our build guide. We have all the interchangeable pieces here. So shoulder pads, back trophy racks, and heads are all interchangeable. Although we do have a specific champion head, as well as one of the extra long tusks. This one here, part 4, you could easily use as a champion's helmeted head if you want to go helmeted for your champion. But yeah, there we have it. So we got the champion, we got combi bolters. We're only using the actual bolters, not the combi weapons, which is kind of annoying. The combi weapons are kind of cool. We do have one guy that has a chain fist. It's either model 5 or model 6 that could be given a chain fist. Again, he's using a combi bolter. This guy has a power fist, 1 or 2 choices. And then we've got our Reaper autocannon, again, 1 or 2 choices for his fists, whichever one you didn't use on the previous model. Then into the paint guide, so Abaddon black all over, picking out all the metal detail with lead belcher, gold details with Retributor armor. Interesting, painting these in between pipe silver, but we didn't do that on the regular Terminators though. So yeah, painting all of the gold detail. There's quite a lot on these guys, as usual with Chaos models. Mephisto red for loincloths, eye lenses, weapon grips, and the Blood Angel helmet on one guy. Catch and Flesh for furs and woods and leather straps. Wraith Bone for exposed flesh and bone. So there's quite a lot of this, and there's also lots of teeth as usual. You can paint the helmets any colour you like. They show a Ultramarine and an Imperial Fist here, as it's pretty cool. So just paint them in whichever colour you want to. They also paint one helmet silver, which is on the champions, which I was going to do anyway because it looks very Grey Knight-ish. So I was going to paint that in my Grey Knight method. Then we're on to our shading stage. So Norn oil over our metal details, as well as our red and brown details. Agrax over our bone, horns and teeth. Ryken Flesh shade over the details, such as the yellow helm and all the gold trim and bare flesh. And there we have our Chaos Terminator squad looking rather cool and complete. Well, except for the highlights. So yeah, as usual, we've got a naming article. Ooh, a bit of a damaged page there. Looks like the sprue went through the back cover. Oh well. Then we have our third Combat Patrol mission in Forward Outpost. So I'm going to be photocopying these and making up my data cards again, like I did from the previous 2. Then we have a Chaotic Ambush. So again, we got end-to-end this time. We got Aeldari versus Chaos. 2 terrain areas, 3 objectives along the centre, and the Chaos Terminators are deployed in reserve and get to come in later on, which is pretty cool. And again, we got victory or draw there, so that's pretty cool. And there's our next issues, and oh yeah, that's a very damaged issue. Glad I got spares of this. So I'm not too worried about that. moving on though, it's time to start a brand new combat patrol of issue 41 and the Ork Warboss. So we've got a lot of freebies in here. Well, a lot, but not many. So we start off with our frame, and I've never actually built and painted this guy, so this is going to be a first for me. And I'm going to really take my time and enjoy it, I think. But yeah, we got a really cool looking Ork Warboss who's got quite a few push-fit-ish components, which is quite interesting. And he comes on a nice 50mm base, like a lot of our characters do. Got a nice piece of tactical board, steel, instead of a tactical rock. Yeah, all in all, he looks really cool, really orcish. Can't wait to build and paint this guy. And we get our latest mat. So one side has this rather cool sandy desert effect, and the other side we've got a toxic imperial sort of mining world. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, these are very similar to the ones we got, I think, in the Ultimate starter set, and very close to the ones we got on Enactment terrain boards as well. So it's nice we got different sides to the maps, which is pretty cool. I was expecting it to just be continuation of the interior of the Space Marines flagship again. But into the issue we go. So, what have we got here? So our pullout is the terrain pack. So it's now available on the web store if you haven't picked it up already. And yeah, subscribers have actually saved, because it's going to cost you an extra £5, looks like it, to get it from Hachette. All this for only £80. But yeah, it doesn't mention the battle boards. So it's just the terrain, not the actual boards apparently, unless they have decided to add the boards in. But no, 2 bunkers, 6 stockades, 2 stockades of doors, landing pad, shrine, Auspex shrine, and the Vox antenna. So yeah. So that's what our little bonus pullout is. It's just about the terrain. So yeah, we got it a little bit cheaper being subscribers, but if you want it now, it's going to cost you 80 quid. But still, it's a great saving what you get. So buy it if you want it. I've already got it, luckily. I picked it up when it first came out a couple of years back. Alright, here we go. Let's go green with issue 41. So we got our build guide for the Ork Warboss. He's a push-fit model, so you don't need glue. But if you want a solid assembly, you definitely would want to add glue. Yeah, he goes together quite easily. Just push the components together. So yeah, you may find it useful to leave it unattached to its base, so to make it reaching certain areas later on. So that's a top tip. How to paint our Warboss. So Abaddon black all over. We're picking out Orc flesh for all the exposed skin. Tidying up with Mephiston Abaddon black even. Then we're using Mephiston red to paint the loincloth and trousers of our Gunner Grot there, as well as some of the icons on the back panel and the casing on his weapon axe, as well as his eyes and cables. The Crag Blue for more cables, Avalanche Sunset for more cables yet again, Mechanica Santa Grey for his trousers, Lead Belcher for a lot of the metallic details, so his huge generator that gives him his powers his armour, a lot of the different bits on the armour, and all of his guns and stuff, and the saws on his Ooge chopper. Corax White for all the orky glyphs. Catchman Flesh for the leather strapping, so he's got his belt around his armour. The Ork Grot has a little pouch as well, and he's got the strapping on his axe. And we've got some more, his boots that are exposed under the armour, picking those out of Catchman Flesh. Scream Pink for his tongue. Wraithbone for his teeth, and the teeth hanging off his back banner. Then we're on to shading, so non-oil to shade the red, white, brown details, and all of our silver, of course, as well as the blue. Agrax Earthshade to shade his teeth, and the vents there on his armor generator. Caribou Crimson to shade his tongue, and finally Ryken Flesh Shade to shade the yellow pipes. And yeah, there we go. That's our Ork Warboss, looking pretty nifty. I'm going to have to argue with the magazine sec. Hang on. And that didn't help. Pulled too hard, I think. But yeah, there we go. So we've got work in progress. He's looking good for a work in progress, but we'll shade him very soon. So lore-wise, we look at Slaanesh, the Dark Prince. So this is our final one of the 4 main Chaos Gods. We've got Orc character name table. So the Death Dread and the Warboss we can name. We can also name the Boomdaka Snazwagon as well. We got the Warboss in Mega Armour there, his data record, so we can write his name. We can roll here. Or we can roll here, whichever we want. Yeah. Or you can combine the two if you really want to. And then we got his battle mat. So, thump the gits. We use our new terrain mat. So, pretty cool. So, we got 3 guardians and a heavy weapon platform, a single wind rider, and a lone wraith guard. We got 4 deployment zones for terrain. And our Ork Warboss starts down here, so he's going to go smashing up some Aeldari. Is that actually the full mat? Let's just check a sec, because that looks like that's 2 mats together. No, that is the complete full mat. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we're just needing the 1 mat for the moment. And fighting in the toxic waste zone, that's pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see if we're going to be basing the models of our combat patrols slightly differently depending on the battlefield mat they get connected to. Oh, for the love of Mork or Gork. But there we go. So we learn about the special abilities, brutal and cunning, part of the orcs. And then we also have the victory table there. And we can customize the scenario by having either Chaos Space Marines or Psychophage or Tyranids as the enemies. And we place a small selection of units in each of the 3 deployment zones, and the orc just has to try and smash his way through them. Back page, we've got to look at the wider range of the Orcs and Leagues of Atan models. And then we can finally start looking at things that are a little bit different. So we know what we're getting here, as it's up next. But after that, we get Ork Boys, our first squad of 10 Ork Boys. So yeah, pretty cool. Right, let's wrap this up with our final issue, issue 42. So, 2 paints. We get Calgar Blue, which hasn't been pushed together very well. There we go. So, yeah, this is going to be used quite a lot, highlighting the Chaos Space Marines, the Ultramarines, and anything else we've painted blue. And a nice new shade, Coelia Green shade. So, we'll find out what we're using this on in the magazine. And am I correct with saying plasma? Let's find out. Oh, for the love of it. Hang on. Right, that was really annoying. So, was I correct? And no, I'm not going to be. So, we are using Coelia Green shade to shade out Orc skin. The energy on these barb gaunts, excuse me. The plumes of smoke coming out of the Psychophage there. And the banding around the Farseer. And that is literally it. No more painting, just that. That's kind of really disappointing. I was fully expecting a lot more. Oh, we're also shading the blade as well on the spear of the Farseer. But yeah, I was expecting to use possibly this on plasma, but guess we're not. But we do have quite a lot of read articles in this issue. So we look at the Orcs, the Great Green Tide. We learn about the power of the war. As we look more into the Orcs, we can really see the difference. So we've got the older Orc looters and burners, and there's the newer Ork boy, and I really hope they update these guys very soon. The beast snaggers have had a good amount of love. It's time for the old Orcs to get love. We also want to see a new update to the knobs as well. That's set as a little small compared to the newer knobs, I think. So there we have a war in progress. So we've got the big boss, the big machines, and the lots of boys facing off against Iron Knights, Guardians of the Covenant, even the Dark Angel successors. The guys the Dark Angels chapter that I really like because they have lots of hoods and stuff, which is really cool. Then we look at the technology of the 41st millennium. So we've got Imperial technology, which is often backwards and doesn't work quite often. High-tech Xenos, low-tech Xenos, and biotechnology. So yeah, pretty cool. There's different looks at some of the different Xenos races in the galaxy. Bonds are on to part 10, so we continue Sergeant Askerton's story. So he's heading towards a planet. And it's not a very nice planet because we have Orcs. Oh dear. Then we have example battlefields. So annoyingly, we got this awesome 2-page spread of a example battlefield sort of on the 1 page, Would have been nicer if they'd put something else here and then had that over this page and that over that page. But we do have a full look at some more example battlefields. So we've got an Imperial Ruins section there, another sort of one. So this one's more narrative play, where we've got a column of Space Marines walking up the middle and they're being ambushed on either side. A more competitive sort of play board, where you've got plenty of line blocking terrain and more evenly spread. And these, again, another match play ones. We've got the Imperial trying to defend an outpost against waves of Tyranids. More match play, where things are more evenly spread. And another narrative one here, where we've got the Adeptus Mechanicus up against the Drukhari combat patrol there, where it's protecting a mining facility. We have the rules for the Dark Zealots combat patrol, so we finally know what everything in the squad has. So Dark Apostle with his Crozius and Bolt Pistol, and 2 Disciples with close combat weapons. Legionnaire squad, Aspiring Champion of Plasma Pistol and a Cursed Weapon. 4 with Bolt Pistol, Bolt Gun and Combat Weapon. 2 with Bolt Pistol and Chainsword. 1 with Bolt Pistol, Chainsword and an Icon. 1 with Bolt Pistol, Heavy Bolter and Close Combat Weapon. And 1 with Bolt Pistol, Melter Gun and Close Combat Weapon. So we now know everything in the squad has bolt pistols, so it makes them in combat a little bit more deadly, as they can all shoot. 5 Havocs, so 1 with Plasma Gun and Chainsword, 1 with Heavy Bolter and Combat Weapon, 1 with Las Cannon and Combat Weapon, 1 with Missile Launcher and Combat Weapon, and 1 with Chain Cannon and Combat Weapon, and a Hellbrute with Plasma Cannon and Hammer. There we see the gathered pictures of everything. We don't have the faction abilities yet, which is kind of annoying. So just got to wait for those, I guess. Then we have not 1, but 2 brand new combat patrol missions. So we've got Scorched Earth, so a nice corner-to-corner deployment zone with fairly similar objective deployment to our first mission we had, Clash of Patrols. But we do have slightly more away from the centre this time, at least. And then we have Sweeping Raid. So this one, it's end-to-end. We only have 2 objectives, plus we fight, I think, over the centre of the battlefield there as well, which is pretty cool. I know we've got 2 objectives there, A and D there. So what do we have? Supply lines. At the start of each command phase, the player whose turn it is controls the objective marker in a deployment zone, or a dice on 4+ to gain a command point. So you want to make sure you at least keep control of your own objective. Attacker scores 5 additional victory points if they control marker C. So the attacker needs to get to this side, and the defender needs to get to this side. 10 points if they control objective marker D, which is the opponent's deployment zone. The defender will score 5 points at the end of the battle for controlling objective marker B, and 10 for controlling objective marker A. So it's effectively a swap sides sort of mission. But yeah, you also score 5 points for each marker you control, up to a total of 15. And there we have it. Right, so what's in the next issue that I'm kind of excited about? Well, we know we're getting the Ork Boys, but we're finally reaching halfway, and we're finally basing our models. So we get Administratum Grey, Astro Granite, and a texture spreader, and we learn basically how to base our models. And from what I read on the website, we are also learning 2 new techniques of painting. So one technique is basing, and I'm guessing the other will be dry brushing, as that's how we're going to bring out the detail on that basing work once its base paint has dried. So yeah, took us half the magazine run, but we're finally basing our models. Although we could have easily done this, seeing as we've had the premium guides, etc., that tell us how to base the models. But yeah, still exciting times to get around to basing our collection at long last. And yeah, that's going to be a long weekend for me, base coating all of our models. I'll probably tackle 1 patrol at a time once we get to that issue. But yeah, looking forward to it, and especially looking forward to some more Ork Boys. They're going to be fun to paint. Seeing as there's more green on these guys, I won't be surprised if we base coat these all with Ork flesh first and then pick out the black and stuff afterwards. Just have to wait and see, I guess, for issue 43. But there we have it. Right, let's bring everything back in. I'll give you my final thoughts on Delivery 11. So there we have it. Delivery 11 has dropped, and it's a huge delivery, both in savings, the amount of plastic we get, and I think overall value and quality of the delivery. So let's break it down as usual. Plastic, solid 5 out of 5. 2 rather nice full-size kits. building 10 models in total, plus we get an Ork Warboss to start off our combat patrol for the Orcs. So pretty cool there. Hobby supplies, it's going to be a 1 out of 5 because we only get the 2 paints and we're only using one of them. And it's not on a lot of models either. So at least I'll have a good sort of material for the actual video, I suppose. I'll show you how to apply to all 4 models that the magazine shows. Finally then, hobby supplies. So this is going to be a 4 out of 5, I think. It's going to be fair. We get a brand new mat. We get the next set of data cards. So that's all pretty cool. As a bonus, we get the pull-out sheet where we are told about the terrain pack. So this is now accessible to everyone, not just subscribers. So check out if you want to pick this up. Luckily for me, I have it already, so it's not something I'm going to be interested in. But yeah, there we have it. So for a total rating then, it's going to bring the rating down to, let's say 3.5 out of 5, I think is about fair. Yeah, it's a pretty good delivery. It's the plastic and the gaming equipment, I think, that really helps save delivery. If it is more smaller units, where perhaps we only built more characters, then yeah, it might have been a lot less on that. But yeah, pretty good. And the value is going to be a lot of saving. Terminators, I think, are about 40 odd pound. The Wraith Guard are 45. And the Ork Warboss is about 25 for a good character model, so you do get a good amount of saving. We'd lose out on the paints as usual, but that's nothing new. Yeah, looking forward to utilising the new battle mat, and I'm going to build up these terrain cards at some point as well. Need to find something cool and Imperial. I have no idea where that piece of terrain would come from, if it even exists. But I'll have a look around, see what I can find on eBay. Anyone knows, let me know in the comment section. This one's going to be the easier of the two to build. It's just going to be texture paste, cork, maybe some stones, skulls, etc. A very easy build. But yeah, we get all the data cards for the Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol, and as well as the last Aeldari card, and we start the Orcs as well. So all in all, not bad. The contents of the magazine as well, I forgot to mention, is the first 2 issues is very limiting. We don't have a lot in there. It's all dedicated to the new units, how to build, paint, and play with them. So they're kind of more of a premium feel magazine, where it's dedicated wholly to the unit, not any lore or anything. But I think it's more than made up for with issue 42, as we have a heck of a lot of lore in there. We have 2 new missions to play through, so there'll be a video of a full Combat Patrol game to play through. Sadly, we don't have a lot to do with the paints, which is very annoying. So hopefully future guides will put these paints to better use. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can say. So as usual, for this delivery, I paid $47.96 because I'm premium. But yeah, even that is going to be a good saving. I've got it all worked out, and I'll be putting it up on screen somewhere for you guys to double check the pricings, etc. But all in all, I'm looking forward to getting started with these issues. I've got my bonus issues that I've already mentioned. I'm going to be building and painting as well for my other armies. So Iandan and Emperor's Children respectively. But yeah, looking forward to building and painting these guys for the magazine, especially the Ork Warboss. I've never actually built and painted this model. And yeah, I'm not really the biggest Ork fan, so it's going to be interesting. Whether the Combat Patrol will grow on me over the course of the collection, same with Leagues of Votann, and whether I'll decide to keep them or not is still up in the air. But yeah, it's looking like at the moment at least, they might be up for sale once we've completed the magazine. But depends on if we get like a campaign sort of system towards the end of it, much like we did with Imperium. If we do get a campaign system where we get to play through and utilize all the different combat patrols in like a story sort of thing, then yeah, I'd probably definitely keep these guys on until I at least play through that. I never did get around to playing the Imperium campaign, And sadly, I've now sold most of the Ultramarines and AdMech models for that patrol collection, so I don't really have those models left to utilize, so I can't really play through it, but I might even utilize it to play through and do my own sort of scenario, different factions though. But yeah, there we have it. I've rambled on long enough, I think, for this section of the video. Let me know if you've enjoyed this delivery. Do you think 3.5 out of 5 is fair? I think so. I could have pushed it to a 4, but really that paint issue has lost us a fair few stars. If I'd factored in the lore, it probably would have been a solid 4, maybe even 4.5 out of 5, because we do get, like I said, a good amount of lore between the last 2 issues. More than makes up for the lack of lore in the first 2. But yeah, like I said, I'm off to edit this video, maybe make a start building some Chaos Terminators for my Emperor's Children, and posting my latest Combat Patrol video up on YouTube for you guys, which will probably be out before this video anyway. But yeah, good set of videos to come in the next coming weeks, so I hope you'll join me for those. And all that's left me to do is to say, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.